What's up, everybody? We're back. It's a Daybreak vlog. We're going to be talking about direct-to-film printing today and just kind of talk about what it is, what it isn't, differences between direct-to-film printing and screen printing, differences between direct-to-film printing and heat transfer vinyl printing, and why we use one method over the other, things like that. A quick Daybreak update. We are just about all booked for our events, for our event season. Event season's always late May through December. So we're just about booked. We're going to be booking more shows as the year goes on. You know, if things come up, there's a couple promoters that we work with that they kind of they'll kind of announce shows sort of randomly with like short notice. So if some of those kind of shows pop up, we'll get booked for those as well. But other than that, yeah, everything's going great with Daybreak. We just finished up all these hats. These are some CLE dad hats, bunch of different colors. If you like this hat, you can head over to our web store. We got tons of different colorways. I think there's 6 different colorways for these CLE dad hats. This one is black and lavender, so that's like a lavender purple. I don't know how well that is picked up on the camera. But anyway, today we're going to talk about direct-to-film printing. And before we talk about direct-to-film printing, first we need to talk about screen printing, kind of just make sure people understand what screen printing is. So screen printing at this point, like where we are in 2024, screen printing is an older technology, if you want to call it a technology. It's a very analog method of printing apparel or printing on flat stock, like printing artwork and stuff like that, because there's no digital, there's nothing digital about the process. It's a very analog method of printing in the sense that like everything you're doing you're not utilizing computers or anything like that. If anything, the only thing you're really utilizing is you need some UV light to expose your screens, and you need some electricity to power your flash dryers to dry the ink and cure the ink and everything like that. But other than that, it's very analog as far as printing method goes. And it's an old technology. We've been doing it for 50, 60, 70 years, and to great success. And screen printing there's a lot of benefits of screen printing where screen printing is really good and it makes a lot of sense for certain jobs. But there's a lot of jobs in this day and age where screen printing doesn't make sense and is very time consuming, very wasteful. And there's other technologies that are coming up, like direct-to-film printing, that are taking over the industry in a lot of ways, because a lot of jobs that used to be screen printed are almost entirely done now via direct-to-film printing. And we'll talk about those differences and why certain jobs will be printed direct to film and why certain jobs will be screen printed for the foreseeable future. So right now, we'll talk about screen printing. So screen printing is when you make a screen, or I like to call it a stencil. I don't really like calling it a screen, because calling it a screen doesn't really say exactly what it is. But if we call it a stencil, because what it is it's a stencil. And so we have these frames, and frames can either be metal. This one's aluminum. This is no longer using this screen because it's not a very good quality screen, so it's kind of out of commission now. But this is kind of a special screen actually, because it's the first CLE screen that I made. and printed all our first CLE shirts with this screen. So we'll be holding on to this screen for a long time. The screen's not going anywhere. It's gonna get cleaned up and get put on display. But anyway, so this screen here, this pink area here is solid, right? So this is totally solid. So nothing can get through this pink area. But this clear, or not clear, but this area here, I'm trying to point at it. This area here, where you see the image, the CLE, that is open mesh. So that's mesh. Probably can't see that very well. But that's mesh where you can pass ink through that. So that's how you screen print. You flood the inside of this with ink, and then you push the ink through the stencil with a squeegee. Now, that's awesome, but the biggest problem we have with screen printing is that with this screen, we can only print one color. So only one color of ink can go through this CLE. So whether that's gold ink, like I've used a lot of gold ink on here. I've used a lot of white ink on here. But at any given time, you can only print one color with this screen. So if I had a design that required 2 colors or 3 colors, I need to make a separate screen for each color of ink. So if I have a design that's red, white, and blue, I have to make a different screen for each color and load up three screens on my screen printing press for each color. So one screen for the red ink, one screen for the white ink, and one screen for the blue ink. And then I can print my image one color at a time. So I'll bring down the red ink, print the red color, then bring down the white ink, print the white color, bring down the blue ink, print the blue color, and then I'm done printing my image. I have my red, white, and blue image. Now, that's a pretty archaic process. I mean, that's a lot of time. So you have to make 3 screens. That means I have to expose three different full-size screens for each color. When the job is done, I have to break down 3 screens and clean 3 screens, and all of that time adds up. It's a lot of time. It's called, in our printing industry, that's called the setup time and breakdown time. So when you have these images, these multicolor images, where you have to set up, some jobs are as high as 8 colors on, so if you have a design that's 8 colors or more, that's 8 screens that you have to make for each color, and you have to separate in Photoshop or whatever software you're using. You have to separate each color in the image and make a separate screen for each color. So that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's tedious. As printers, we don't work for free. So we have to all that time that we're using to do separations in the computer, and all that time we're doing to make all these different screens for all these different colors, we charge for all of that time. We have to pass that, because that's work that we're doing. So our customers end up having to pay for that. Now, in the last decade or so, this direct-to-film printing has exploded, and it's solved a lot of these issues. So right here, I have an image on a film, and this image was printed onto this film by a really sophisticated printer that cost millions of dollars. that I don't have, that my suppliers have. So I work with suppliers that send me these images printed onto these films. I buy them, of course. So I pay them for these films. And if you notice with this image, that we're going to be doing these shirts here pretty soon for one of our clients. The thing you notice about this image is we have lots of different colors. So we have like 2 shades of yellow, we have white, we have pink for his little shoes there, we have black all over the image. So that's like 5 colors. So if this was to be screen printed, we would need 5 different screens. We'd have to set up 5 screens. Now, this is a low quantity order. This client needed less than 20 of these shirts made. So you got to think all of the time it takes to separate all these different colors in the computer into 5 different images. So you have to essentially make 5 different images. You have to make a different image for each color if you were to screen print this image, and then you have to create 5 screens or 5 stencils. So now, and then you'd be spending all of that time making 5 different screens just to print less than 20 shirts. And it's wasteful, it's bad for the environment, because the more screens you make, the more chemicals and things that we have to dump into the sewer system. So there's a lot of issues with that. It's wasteful, it's time consuming. And it just doesn't make sense. So instead of screen printing a piece of artwork like this, we have our suppliers that make these films for us. And this is called direct to film. So the printers are just printing out the image directly onto this film. The color matching, the colors are exactly the colors that they need to be. It's like they were in the original artwork. And then once I get this, I get my heat press warmed up. We utilize a heat press to, not an iron. This is not iron on. You would not be able to do this with an iron. You need specialized equipment. You need a high pressure heat press to press this image into the shirt, and then you peel off this film. So like this frost colored plastic film, it peels off, and then all you have that's left is your image. And now, this shirt that I'm holding was printed DTF. So as you can see, let it get in focus there. So yeah, this was a direct to film print, and you can see, you might be asking, well, why did you print this direct to film? Isn't it all white? And the answer is no, it's not all white, because if you look at that cloud shape thing, there's like different shades of gray inside that cloud shape thing. Sorry, there we go. So inside that little cloud shape thing, there's like 3 different shades of gray. So again, if I wanted to screen print this, I would have to separate. I would have to separate all those different shades of gray, and make probably 4 or 5 screens so that I could screen print this image. And again, this was a low quantity order. This was like less than 20, or it was like right around 20 pieces, maybe 30 pieces. So to me, for this job, it made the most sense to order films, to order DTF films and press this shirt DTF. So there we go. So instead of having to worry about making 4 or 5 different screens, 4 or 5 different stencils, I don't have to worry about that at all. I order my films from my supplier. They send me my films. I get the heat press all set up and heat press the films into garments. And as you can see, this is a really high quality print. This is a retail quality print. This is for one of my retail customers. I can't obviously really, you don't get the whole experience through the internet and through a camera, but this is a very soft print, very soft, very lightweight, and it's a lot more lightweight than than plastisol ink like that. This shirt is screen printed with plastisol ink, and this is a very heavy depositive ink. So if this was printed using direct to film, which you can, this would be a much lighter print. And that makes a big difference. If you're laying down an image with a lot of ink, it's gonna feel a lot better on the person wearing the garment if it's a lighter depositive ink. So that kind of takes us into like some positives and negatives, I guess, of direct to film printing. And like I said, one of the positives, the biggest positive, and the reason the problem that direct to film solves is high color count images. So this is like five different colors. We would consider that high color count. So direct to film, the main primary problem it solves is high color count artwork at low quantities. So people that need less than 50 pieces or 100 pieces or 200 pieces that are really high color count, and you're able to get these images printed for them at a more cost-effective solution. Sometimes the cost is pretty similar to screen printing. It just all depends on the artwork and the placement. So sometimes it's not always cheaper than screen printing, but normally it is always cheaper than screen printing because you're not getting charged screen fees for setting up a bunch of different screens. You're not getting charged setup fees. You're not getting charged breakdown fees. These are all things we have to charge in screen printing because we have to charge for the work that we do. We don't just do a bunch of work and not charge for it. So that's the biggest problem that direct to film solves, is being able to print these high color count images at lower quantities. And to be completely frank, a lot of our clients are liking these direct to film prints more than screen prints. And that kind of takes us into the second biggest benefit is that these prints are much lighter weight than screen printing, like significantly lighter, like probably a third of the weight or even less. So this is printed with a water-based ink, which is a very lightweight ink, compared to a plastisol ink. So this is a plastisol ink here on this shirt, and this is a much heavier deposit of ink than this. And then this also has a really smooth matte finish. And a lot of our clients, this is more of a modern print is like the best way to describe it. So this is like very modern. This is lightweight, very smooth. You barely even feel it when you're wearing the shirt. Whereas screen printing is more of an old school print because like this is a really heavy depositive ink. It's heavier. You can really feel it on the shirt, and it's not going to breathe at all because this is solid. This is solid plastisol, which is basically plastic. So this is solid. This is closed cell. So you're not going to be. Nothing's going to breathe through this. Is actually breathable. So like these prints will actually breathe a lot more. So that's the two biggest. That's two benefits. So benefit number one. Biggest problem that DTF solves, high color count. So a bunch of different colors at low quantities. Because frankly, us printers, we don't want to set up all these screens. We don't want to set up 3, 4, 5 screens, even 2 screens, just to print 20 shirts or 30 shirts or even 50 shirts or 100 shirts. Because it's just very wasteful, it's time consuming. We have to pass that cost on to our customers. And DTF the technology is so good now, and these prints are so good now that, this is a retail quality print. So like if I go to the mall, right, and I do this, like I'll be in the mall and I'll be like looking at the shirts and all the like decorated printed t-shirts and stuff, and almost it's really starting to shift. Like 80% of what is being printed now is printed using DTF, so using this technology. And I love this technology so much that it's going to be, I think Daybreak and our shop is going to be more of a DTF printing shop than a screen printing shop. We'll always screen print because certain jobs it makes more sense, and certain clients that's what they want and they're willing to pay for it. They don't care how much it costs. So you have to give people what they want. But the DTF just makes a lot more sense. It's better for the environment. It's more eco-friendly. It's faster. It's less messy because you're not dealing with these plastisol inks and emulsions and all these chemicals that you need. There's a lot that goes into screen printing behind the scenes. That it's an archaic, it's an old school process and an old school technology that frankly the entire industry is kind of moving away from in a way, and starting to utilize these direct to film methods a lot more. So something else to show you here, if you don't believe me that it's really taken over the industry, I just bought these pants recently, these Adidas pants, got the stripes down there. These are just like some track pants. They're actually soccer pants. But these graphics here, these are not screen printed. These are direct to film printed, so it's nice and smooth. This is a DTF print. This was pressed into these pants with a heat press. The Adidas logo over here. This was also printed DTF. So it's being used extensively across the industry. I know Adidas is using it and has huge contracts with some of these suppliers. I know Nike has huge contract with some of the DTF suppliers. North Face is using it a lot too, and basically every brand and 99% of print shops across the North America at least are utilizing direct to film because it's just a better solution for our clients. It's gonna provide them with really high quality prints, like this print right here. Like, they needed a really low quantity of these, very low quantity, and you can order as many as one of these. So if I wanted one shirt printed, I can order one of these films from my supplier and they'll send me one of these. So I can print one shirt I could print this on one shirt. 10, 20, 30 years ago, like there was no way that this client was getting these shirts printed, because no one was going to screen print this at the quantity that they needed. Shops were just going to say no, like we're not going to do it. So giving my clients the opportunity to get really high quality artwork printed on their shirts, they're going to be super happy and like the product, and it's going to feel really good. The shirts they're using is for like a race, like one of those Spartan races. So this is a really lightweight print. It's going to be really lightweight on their shirts. It's not going to be a heavy deposit of ink they're not really going to feel it. Like when you're exercising and you're running a race, the last thing you need is a super heavy deposit of ink on your shirt that's going to make you even hotter and sweatier. And so it's just awesome. I mean, we talked about high color count at low quantities. We talked about the prints being lighter, more breathable. They stretch more. They're going to stretch more too than plastisol ink. Plastisol ink basically doesn't stretch unless you put a stretch additive into the ink itself to make it stretch, it doesn't. It basically doesn't stretch. It stretches a very small amount. What else? It's going to be more cost effective to, like, most of the time. Most of the time, the pricing is more cost effective. There's probably, going to be certain instances where it's not going to be more cost effective, and that's usually all related to like print placement, so like where the print is going. So like if you're printing on like long sleeves, like on a hoodie, or if you're printing on pants, like sweatpants and stuff like that, those are always more challenging prints to lay down, so you're going to have to charge more for that. So but again, it's a great technology. And let's talk about some common questions. I think the biggest question that I get with direct to film is durability. And from my experience, I have no concerns at all with durability with these prints. I mean, I've had this shirt for a while, and I've been wearing it to the gym and washing it like crazy, and there's really no issues at all with the print itself. Like I said, I remember bought a band t-shirt for this one of my favorite bands that I saw a little while ago, and it's a screen printed shirt, and the screen printing ink, like the ink started to wash out probably after like 3 or 4 washes. So that was a really low poor quality screen printed shirt. So durability is a concern for screen printing. If you don't screen print, if you don't do the process the right way, you're going to have major durability concerns. The ink's going to wash out almost immediately. But as far as durability with DTF, I mean, like I said, these prints are rated and tested by our suppliers to last a really long time. Probably outlast the lifetime of the garment itself. So this once you press these films into apparel, that's a permanent bond. So that bond is permanent. That's not going anywhere. It's not like it's gonna last. It's not like once you press it in, it has a lifetime. And it's like, okay, after 50 washes or after 2 years, this is gonna start peeling. And that's not true. It's a permanent bond. So once you press these in the correct way, you have to do the process the right way. So you have to follow the instructions that are given to you by the supplier. So if the supplier says these need to be pressed at 320 degrees for 12 seconds, that means you need to press them at 320 degrees for 12 seconds, not 310 degrees for 10 seconds or 300 degrees for 8 seconds or 10 seconds. No, you need to follow the exact instructions given to you by the supplier. And when you do, you have good results, and you have these awesome prints that last a really long time. I mean, this print's going to be on here. There's going to be holes in this shirt before this print comes off. It's not coming off. It's not going anywhere. So durability to me is not a legitimate concern. I mean, you can see Adidas is printing this on sportswear, and as we all know, like, sportswear is getting beat up, and you're playing sports in it, it's getting beat up and used heavily, and nothing is happening to these prints, So durability is not a concern at all. What else? Color matching. I mean, to me, the color matching is basically perfect. Like, so if you don't know what color matching is, if somebody gives you, I don't know, like, somebody gives you this action figure and they're like, don't ask me why I have this on my desk. I used to play with these when I was a little kid, I guess. So somebody gives you this guide and they're like, all right, I want this color blue printed on a t-shirt. You're able to match that color exactly using DTF. So, you know, a lot of people get concerned that the colors they want aren't going to be matched exactly, and that's not the case. You're able to color match almost perfectly with DTF. As long as you get the colors into the computer and you do everything right in the computer, you're not going to have any issues with color matching. Another big thing is there's some transfers from some companies will have adhesive residue around the outline of the image. That's something you'll see. It's barely noticeable on most things. You can't even really tell it's there, but a trained eye can see that it's there. And the great thing about us here at Daybreak is we have a really awesome supplier that we work with, and like these prints, there's no glue residue around the outside or anything, so you're not going to have to worry about that at all. Let's see. I don't really know what other things to say about direct to film. I hope I explained that as best I could. You know, the biggest thing is just the colors, right? And high color count stuff and really high detailed stuff that's complex and really challenging to screen print and expensive and wasteful to screen print. Direct to film solves that problem, right? Because we can order anything. We can order any image we want on here. It's sent to us. We get everything pressed into the shirts. Customer's happy. They have a really great They have a really great product that's lightweight, breathable, stretches. Colors are vibrant. It's really like nothing else to say about it, I don't think. So yeah, this was made mainly as an educational video that I can give to future clients that have questions about DTF or concerns about DTF, and just an educational video for the masses, and kind of giving, a lot of it's like me giving my opinion on DTF and like why I think it's beneficial. So I'm sure, you know, people will comment and disagree with me on certain things, and it's okay. They're allowed to disagree with me. So yeah, that's about it for today. We're gonna have another vlog pretty soon, going over some different things with some unique jobs that we take on. So all right, everybody, take care.